You're all like agile and stuff. Hey everybody, Jeff Stone here. Welcome to another episode of MagicReviewed.com, where today we're talking about agility. Also, I'm trying some new lighting, which involves a slightly different angle. So let me know what you think. And sorry, I got a recliner there behind me that's sort of blocking the view, but hopefully this is a better angle with the lighting and everything. So let me know in the comments. Anyway, here's what you get here. This is $45, and you get a DVD. There's a DVD in here, and you get this little deck of battle cards. It's kind of reminiscent of like Pokemon or something like that, where I'll just show you one of the. Let's see if I can get a good angle there. You get a bunch of these, so I'll quickly flash on the screen a couple of them so you can get a sense of them. There are things like an intelligence level, a strength level, a speed level, fighting skills, agility, and then a rating. There's a little blurb underneath the fact file there. The idea is you deal these, there's a couple different routines, right? But one of the ideas you see in the trailer where the Dark Wizard deals cards back and forth to his partner there, and then the player can just look at a card, and Peter knows that his card is going to beat it or not beat it. He just knows. And he can always win or he can lose whenever. It's up to him. And so he just says, oh, I'm going to beat you by using, for example, intelligence, or beat you with strength, or I'll lose to you this way or whatever. That's the basic idea. There are other things you can do with it, of course. They're all spelled out in the ad copy. Another effect that you can do is you can have them cut the deck and look at one of the cards. For example, we'll look at Miss Ultimate here. They look at that, and you looking away, you're able to tell them what their star rating is. So I didn't look at Miss Ultimate. I already put it back in the deck. But we'll look at Portal here. Portal's a 5-star there. You can tell them, without looking again, you can tell them the name of the hero or villain and the star rating and a couple other things. The other thing is there's a little blurb there under the fact file, and it's impossible to read. All right, I got normal good vision, but I need these to read stuff, and I'm looking at this, and these are 2x magnification, and I cannot read that even in good lighting. I mean, the lighting's a little weird in this setup right now, but even in good lighting, I cannot read that text there. Now, I know other people have better vision than I do, but if you're going to bring a volunteer up and have them read that, that could be a problem. Especially if they're like, oh, let me get my glasses on. They put their glasses on and they still can't read it, and then they're going to be embarrassed and it can be awkward. And so I know I'm jumping all over the place with this one because it's kind of weird. So let's slow it down a little bit. What's the basic effect? The basic idea is you are able to very easily get information about cards that the other person has. That's the basic gist of it. You're able to easily get information about what they have, and there's a very clever system built into this. So clever that you could give these cards away. Obviously, you don't want to give away your deck because this is $45, right? But you could literally let them keep the deck, and they would never find anything. Never. I mean, never. The system is so clever. Very, very clever. That's part one. That's the basic idea. Anything that you could imagine that you'd want to be able to reveal about these guys, you pretty much can reveal it. If they're looking at one card, you're able to tell what it is they're looking at. And by the way, they're not marked on the back. This is the back. Every card looks like that on the back. There's no marking. You're not looking at the cards they're holding. You're looking away the whole time, right? And so let's go to that's the effect and the method, right?
But for now, for your customer's sake, for your daughter's sake, you might want to think about buying a quality product from me.
These are well made overall. The cards are nice. They don't quite spread as easily as it appears to in the video where Peter spreads them out on the table. But they're pretty good, right? They're fine. The only issue, though, is that you cannot read that fact files. You just can't read it. It's just way too small. It's useless. And that is a trick that you can do with it. The effect is basically, if you know Mother of All Book Tests, it's like a mini version of that right there, except you have to guide them a little more than you would with Mother of All Book Tests. I'll just leave it at that. That's if they can read it, but they can't. Nobody can read that. I don't know how. I mean, it's insane. Okay, so that's the only real product quality hit as far as the cards go. The DVD training, you get the Dark Wizard and then the guy who created it, his name is Rich Gerrish. The two of them are on there. And Peter does most of the talking, as is pretty typical with the Alakazam products, because it's his company and he's the one marketing it and everything. But it would have been nice to have Rich Gerrish do more talking, because this is his baby and he does it all the time, and he would have those little, only a guy who's been doing it hundreds of times, little tips that maybe Peter didn't have. Now, Peter does it a lot because he really likes it, but I think that Rich Gerrish would have had way more insight that we didn't really get. He was kind of a sideliner. He did show his routine a little bit, but the main one, which is the one you see in the trailer, which is the better one in my opinion, is Peter's, right? Okay, so sorry, this one is another one all over the place. By the time we get to the 6th or 7th review I'm filming today, I'll be back on track in my brain. Okay, so now, the one other thing was a lot of the discussion between Peter and Rich was, there was some sort of like mumbling and trailing off, and they both have pretty strong accents, especially Rich is pretty thick, and so it was hard enough to understand him, but then he was so quiet and kind of mumbly. And then there was this weird moment towards the end of the video where they just ramped up the music for no reason, and it was so loud that all you could see was their lips moving, basically, and they were talking quietly and sort of mumbly, and I have no idea what they were talking about at all. So there's a few issues there. As far as the ad copy, well, there's a few things. All right, one of the things they claim is, I'm reading from my notes here, the cards are perfect in every way, and get this, it allows you to perform some seriously great mentalism effects with zero memory work. Okay, I can kind of let that slide. I won't say the cards are perfect because of that text there is a problem. The no memory work thing, that depends on what you mean by memory work, right? You're not memorizing anything, right? This isn't like a mem deck or anything like that. It's sort of closer to, if you're familiar with the Australian breakthrough card system, or just maybe even Cy Stebbins, where you have to kind of calculate a little bit. It's kind of that. It's an easy calculation, like really easy. It's not even really calculating, it's concatenating, right? You're taking two numbers and putting them together. So it's easy, but the problem is there is some stuff to remember. There's three little things you have to kind of remember, and in the heat of the moment, it does take a little bit of thinking. So it's a gray area where they say there's zero memory work. Here's a good way to think of it. If you speak English, sometime in your English learning career, you learned the memory trick, I before E, except after C, except for cases like neighbor and way, right?
Hey kids, remember it's I before E except after C, or when sounding like A as in neighbor and way, plus these few exceptions.
Caffeine, species, science, sufficient, ancient, society, weird, theism, protein, sovereign, foreign, feisty.
You've probably learned that, and you have to memorize that. It's kind of that kind of thing where there's a little thing you have to, sort of a mantra or a thing you have to kind of remember. That's as close as I can get to explaining what you're doing here. Let me just check my notes here, because there's one other thing I want to talk about that. So the next thing here, your spectator cuts the deck anywhere and deals both you and them a hand of cards. You now can accurately tell them exactly what you will beat them on with each card played. And get this, you are not reading marks, and you don't even need to look at the cards. Well, yeah, no marks, that's true, but you do have to at one point, get a glimpse of something. Now, it's a very, quick, very easy thing. And once you have it, you don't have to look back ever again, and you have all the information you need. But you can't just be like, here, they cut here and you know what's going on. No, you do have to get a glimpse somewhere. Now, I don't have to ever see this card to be able to know what's going on, but you do have to get some information. So that's, again, a gray area for me. Okay, as a bonus, you can even perform a book test type effect with the character information included on the card. No, you cannot, because you can't read that. It's just so small, and the font color against the background is not good. A lot of you know I'm a college professor, and I teach web programming, and one of the things that my students will lose points on is if the text color is not a good enough contrast with the background color of the web page, because it makes it difficult to read. And that is exactly what's going on here. And then on top of that, the font is teeny, which again, I'll get my students for on that. So no, you can't do that. And then the next thing it says, no forces. Well, it depends on what effect you're doing, because there's an effect where you have to do a force, right? So what happens with the ad copy, they'll say you're not doing this, like the method isn't X, or the method isn't Y, or the method isn't Z, except for there is a trick, a different trick that where X is the method, and then there's another trick where Y is the method, and there's another trick where Z is the method. So to say that you won't be doing all of these methods ever is a bit misleading. To say that on this particular effect you won't use X method, okay, fine. And on this particular effect you won't use Y method, fine. But for every one of those, there's a trick on there where you do need to do some memory work. There's a trick on there where you do need to force a card, and so on. And so yeah, I just want to make sure we're getting clarity here. That's why I'm going through all this rigmarole here. Make sure you're having clarity so you know exactly what you're getting. So when this rambly review is all said and done, the effect is good, the method is good, the cards have at least one issue, this small font here. The other quality issue is the video has some issues, and then the ad copy has quite a bit of misleading stuff. So if you don't mind not being able to do this trick, and you like what you saw in the trailer, right? What you saw in the trailer can be done the day you get these cards. You'll be able to do that trick, no problem. Now, obviously, you want to put in some time to get your presentation down, but as far as the basic method, you'll be able to do it moments after you open the deck once you watch the video. So if you like that effect, then you'll probably be okay. You'll probably be happy with your purchase here. But because of all the issues, I can't go higher than 2.5 stars. And a stone status of gem with a little G, because overall it's good, but there's too many, we'll go with, issues. So that's it for this one. Sorry, that was so crazy and rambly, guys. I just am out of practice, as you know. Anyway, it's time for you now to listen to the random iTunes song of the moment. But while you're doing that, you better like, subscribe, comment, and share. And here we go. Today it is Let's Live for Tonight by Porter Wagoner and Dolly Parton. Nice. When I was a kid, we had one of those ginormous record players that the records were stored inside the record player system, stereo. And we had an old Dolly Parton record. I think I remember which one it is. I'll probably put it up on the screen if I can remember it. And I thought that that was a picture of my mom. It looked like my mom. Like my mom looked like Dolly Parton back then. At least the hair and her face on that record. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to shut up now. This video's gone on long enough, and I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. So, tune in next time when we take a look at another product taught to us by the Dark Wizard, Ryan's Revenge. It's a little bit older one by Clint Marin. I'll see you then, folks. Thanks for watching. Peace out.